We are happy to welcome you aboard our liner. Smiling, Nicky greeted the passengers. Nicky, the flight attendant, was good-looking and impeccable. Her silk blonde hair was gathered in a strict but elegant knot, and her uniform cap looked like part of her hair. The beautiful, greenish-blue eyes of the heavenly diva, competently painted, and her seductive lips barely touched with a delicately pink gloss. Well, the uniform sat above all praise on Nicky. The dark blue tunic accentuated her thin waist and beautiful form, and the skirt just above the knees did not hide her long and slender legs. "Are you a model, by any chance?" Nicky was asked by one of the passengers, a plump businessman in a suit. "No," she smiled. Beautiful stewardess felt the admiring glances of male passengers, and frankly she enjoyed it, and also from the fact that the broad-shouldered handsome William, who sat in the first pilot's chair, was her lawfully wedded husband. They'd been married just a month and looked like teenagers in love. After the plane landed, Nicky suddenly felt sick. She felt nauseous. She felt like she was going to turn inside out. Nicky's blood pressure was taken at the airport medical center, and it was high. "Was that a first for you?" "Yes," Nicky answered. "What's the matter with me?" "I think it's nothing," smiled the paramedic. "I suggest you take a pregnancy test." "Do you think so?" "Yes, I'm sure I do." When Nicky came out of the nurse's station, William was already waiting for her. "What's the matter with you?" her husband asked, frightened. "They told me you were sick and that you were here." "It's nothing." She waved her hand. "Just a little tired. It'll pass. I've got 2 days off. I'll get some rest." Nicky decided not to say anything to her husband. If the pregnancy is confirmed, then she'll surprise William. In the morning, while William was still asleep, Nicky took a pregnancy test. 10 minutes later, she woke up her husband to show him the 2 coveted stripes. "I'm going to be a daddy," William exclaimed. "That's great. I'm gonna be a daddy." "Nicky, I love you so much." "I love you," she replied, and with a happy smile she snuggled up to her husband. When Lily was born, the happy father treated the whole staff to cognac. "I am the happiest man in the world. Do you understand that?" "Every now and then," exclaimed William. When he took his beloved girls from the maternity hospital, he became a model father. Unlike many young dads, William willingly got up in the middle of the night and rocked the baby. On weekends, he willingly walked with his daughter, gave Nicky the opportunity to quietly clean the house, take care of themselves, or just rest. The idyll ended when Lily was 2 years old. That's when she was given a devastating diagnosis: autism. When the doctor announced the diagnosis, Nicky felt like the earth was slipping from under her feet. All her plans flew into the trash. The kindergarten spot she'd taken had to be given up. Going back to work in a year was out of the question. Within seconds, Nicky was ashamed of her thoughts. What was it I was thinking she? My little girl is sick, and all I can think about is showing off for the airliner passengers. Lily needed constant companionship, and sometimes Nicky was so tired that she didn't have the energy to talk, no matter what Nicky was doing, cleaning the apartment or getting her nails done. She commented on her every action. "Now, we're going to wipe the windowsill so it's clean. And now, we're going to water the flowers so they'll grow beautiful. Mom gets a manicure, and then she's going to put cream on her hands so they'll be soft, and she can stroke her beloved Lily." Nicky visited a center for children with disabilities. There were quite a few mothers there, raising children with the same diagnosis. Women shared their experiences, told each other about their children, listened to the recommendations of specialists. There was no mental retardation whatsoever. On the contrary, they are very smart children with good memory. The main thing is to correctly and regularly develop them. Of course, there can be outbursts of aggression, but this is something you have to work on. Together, we will overcome everything. Your child's life and place in society depend on you. Anne's words sounded like music to Nicky. Sometimes she thought, if it weren't for this center, I'd probably go crazy. It's possible that's exactly what would have happened. As she immersed herself in caring for her sick daughter, Nicky didn't notice William pulling away from her. And when she finally noticed, her husband was hopelessly far away. William found himself thinking more and more that he didn't want to go home. Ever since Lily's diagnosis, Nicky had literally dissolved into her, while they exchanged rare and identical phrases with him. Not to mention the marital relationship. William went into the airport bar and ordered coffee and cognac. Am I interrupting? With a coquettish smile asked him the stewardess Polly, with whom he now flew in the same crew. No, he shrugged. Don't you want to go home? The stewardess winked. What business is it of yours? William sighed. No, I don't. But when a man, instead of going home to his wife and child, sits in a bar, it makes interesting thoughts. Look, you and your musings should go together. Quite sharply, he said. But it didn't hurt Polly. Yeah, I'll go, if it makes you feel any better. Her colleague got up from the desk and wiggled her hips as she walked slowly to the exit. Polly. Yes? How about a hotel? Wilhelm and Polly's romance had been going on for a little over a month when she said, You know, honey, something about meeting in a hotel, let alone the teenage version, wherever I have to. I want to spend more time alone with you. For example, we could get an apartment for a week. Well, no, I can't for a week. William hesitated. Well, okay. Polly took pity on him for 3 days. What am I going to tell Nicky? You all need to learn. Even a forced landing due to an airplane malfunction. Nicky and her daughter walked out of the Center for Children with Disabilities and sat down on a bench to call a cab service. Just then, she saw Mia, who also worked as a flight attendant. A colleague was walking past the gate of the center. Mia, Nicky called out to her. Oh, Nicky. Joyfully, she turned around Mia. How many years? How many winters? How have you been? I asked yours the day before yesterday. He mumbled something incomprehensible. The day before yesterday? Nicky's eyes widened. Yeah. Why? There wasn't anything. She mumbled. How's life? I'm doing a little, raising my daughter, as you can see. I see, smiled Mia. Sweet girl, what's her name? Lily. Why, that's a lovely name. Nicky, I don't know if I should say that. After all, it's none of my business. Talk about what? Well, Polly's got your man. She won't take one step away from him. The whole airport is saying they're having an affair. And Polly said something about him leaving you for her. Of course, no one believes that. But on the other hand, Polly's not gonna let him get away with it. So that's what a forced landing due to an airplane malfunction was like, Nicky realized. When she got home, she called her husband. Hi, William. Hi. When are you coming in? I was starting to get worried. You know, I may have to stay for another day. With regret in his voice, my husband answered. Wow, thought Nicky. Where did you learn to pretend like that? Isn't that like Polly's school? Oh yeah. Yeah. Nicky, you know it's not up to me. Who does it depend on? Polly? I don't understand. What's Polly got to do with it? Everything, you understand. It's Mia for you. William realized that he had made a slip and stopped talking abruptly. Nicky laughed at the counter question. What does Mia have to do with this? And you? Pardon my bluntness. A shoal. Well, maybe it's for the best, William sighed. Yes, Nicky. I'm in love with another woman. And yes, it's Polly, and we're together now. In fact, I had made up my mind a long time ago, but I couldn't choose the right moment. William was cutting to the chase, but he didn't seem to notice it at all. But why? Nicky whispered. After all, it had been good. The key word was good. And then you got caught up in taking care of your daughter. You talk about Lily with such aloofness, as if she were only my daughter. Nicky chided her husband. Don't talk nonsense. All I'm saying is that husband and child should get equal attention. And you've given all the attention to Lily. How can you say that? she screamed. Our daughter is sick, so it's only natural that I should pay as much attention to Lily as possible. Especially since the diagnosis demands it when you've never paid any attention to me or to your daughter. I make money, by the way, my husband pointed out, and I don't deny it. What about supporting me with a kind word? Did you ever ask me how my day was? Or did you talk to Lily? And it's important for her to have contact with both her parents. William knew his wife was right. Besides, he couldn't say he didn't feel guilty about her and Lily. So he hurried to end the conversation. That's all, Nicky, he said. Anyway, it is what it is. I hope you can forgive me someday. I don't think so, Nicky thought. And just as she was about to say it, William passed out, and Nicky sat back in her chair and stared at the wall across from her. Good thing Lily, tired from the mass of impressions, instantly fell asleep and did not see her mother crying. Such a spectacle the little girl certainly did not need. All relatives, acquaintances, and colleagues were shocked. What kind of love was there? They sighed. But everyone understood. No matter how sad, in such situations, families break up quite often. Don't worry, Mom said. We'll help you in any way we can. I'm not worried. We don't keep traitors. That's our way. And William will get a boomerang return. Life was slowly getting better. Nicky was fluent in English, so it was easy to find a remote translation job. Sometimes she was invited to meetings with foreigners in offices and restaurants. Soon Nicky was noticed by a businessman from Canada, Richard Tremblay. I was conquered by your beauty, he said. He kissed her hand. Nicky was embarrassed, and Richard continued. I would be delighted to continue the acquaintance. Will the beautiful Nicky agree to have dinner with me in the restaurant? Well, what are you getting lost for? Her mother told her. Or do you prefer men who betray you? No, that's not it. What was it about? The point was that Nicky simply could not believe that she could be happy and loved. 3 years alone, and then a businessman from Canada. That night, she had dinner with Richard at a restaurant and made a discovery. This successful entrepreneur is a very lonely man. Nicky is still happier in that regard than Mr. Tremblay. After all, she has loving parents and Lily. So maybe give him happiness, and at the same time, remember that she herself is a beautiful woman. Nicky became Mrs. Tremblay and flew to Canada. Richard adopted Lily, and that was it. Now she had a new life. After 10 years, the past came back to haunt her. One day, Nicky saw a message on social media from her former mother-in-law. William is dying. Could you fly in? Wow, she thought. Where have you been since the divorce? But she dialed what seemed to be a forgotten number. William? Nicky, do you know yet? William's voice was weak, but she knew at once that her ex-husband was glad to hear her. Your mother wrote on social media, but I cannot come. You don't have to. I just want you to forgive me, for you and for Lily. At least I won't be afraid to die. I forgave you a long time ago. How's Polly? Nicky asked. Polly left me. William sighed and coughed. She had an affair with a business-class passenger and married him. And my mother doesn't go anymore, so there's no one to bury me. That's the law of the boomerang. Nicky thought, but there was no gloating. He was punished enough as it was. They talked for another 5 minutes, but the conversation didn't click. 4 days later, William left this world. Dying alone, he thought, the only good thing is that I apologized to Nicky.